Real Nerds is a proud partner of the Denver Podcast Network. In the shadow of the mountains,
we speak.
Hello, everyone. I'm Giles.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Michelle.
And we're the Beyond the Trope podcast.
Every week, we delve into topics like pop culture, fiction writing, and other nerdy things.
We feature laid-back conversations, bad puns, and in-depth interviews with authors, comic creators, and more.
Find our show at beyondthetrope.com.
Oh, hi, podcast listeners. There's many ways you can listen to the Real Nerds podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can also subscribe on Stitcher Radio. You want to send us a Twitter message? You can do that. It's so easy, at Real Nerds. Like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. You can visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com, where there'll be a lot of articles for you to not only read, but to listen to our previous shows. You can also call us, 720-6nerds5. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dave Callahan, creator of Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
And this is Peter Atencio, the director of Jean-Claude Van Johnson, and you're listening to the Real Nerds Podcast.
Unofficially the official podcast of Denver Comic Con 2018 and beyond. I am your host today, Brad, and with me is
Zach.
And we apologize for this episode because the movie of the week is The Isle of Dogs, and it deserves better. But
it's did you get us?
Scheduling is becoming a increasingly difficult thing to do for us, and we know we two already talked about this a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But an episode has to go out, and here we are.
Yeah. And, yeah, hey, who knows? We can maybe go a wee bit more in detail, but pretty much already what we talked about. So,
but we're also going to go for a very short show than usual because I have to be somewhere.
I have to be nowhere. So
we're going to forego the in the interim, and a reason why last week's episode only posted just now is because we were at a Marvel quiz on Saturday.
Yeah.
And it included Brian and some other of our friends, and we got 7th place out of 26 teams?
27, I think.
27 teams? So
yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Some stumpers, some obvious, we should have known that.
I don't know.
Stuff.
I still don't know why I pointed to someone in that picture and said Rocketeer, but, that was... It was on the...
It made sense to you.
It did. I said Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, they're all the same damn thing.
Yeah. It's fine. There'll be more quizzes, and we'll get it.
Yeah. I
also went to Starfest over the weekend, which is another reason why it took so long to edit the episodes. And that was fun. I got to try out some cosplay, and I rented a room there for once, so it was really convenient. So, if you hate walking around cons with all your gear, consider renting a hotel because it's. I don't think I can ever go back. I'm actually considering renting a room for Denver Comic Con.
Yeah.
Because
it might be worth it at this point.
I know. There's actually way more traffic getting to Denver Comic Con for us than the Tech Center. So
yeah,
I'm strongly considering it. And the room I got had 2 beds, so it was way overkill.
Mm-hmm. So you could rent the other one out for what you need to do.
Yeah, charge one of you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can throw something like Bachelor Party in there.
Yeah, I doubt that'll happen. So. In the interest of getting through this episode quickly, we're going to forego the Draft House news this week because we all know it's Infinity War this week.
Yeah.
That's all we're all going to see. It's playing there, and you should see it there if you can.
Yeah.
So that'll bring us to what's going on around town.
Hey, film buddies, follow me around Denver.
Not a lot. The drive-in is gearing up for Infinity War themselves, so they're going to do Super Troopers 2, followed by Infinity War, and then Black Panther is coming back.
Ooh, nice.
So definitely going to try and check that out.
Sweet. That would be awesome. I feel like you should do Black Panther, then Infinity War, but I understand. Get the main one out there.
Yeah, I mean, the daylight is later in the day now, so they obviously don't want to start the main event too late in the evening.
Right.
And they're open all week now. They're not just the weekend. So, if you can't get a spot in the Friday or Saturday shows, The weekdays are usually less congested, and you can catch those shows at your leisure. And then the midnight at the Esquire this week is The Room on Friday, April 27th, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show on Saturday. So that's what they do every month. And then the following week, May 4th and 5th, is the Belladonna of Sadness. So if you want to watch women get abused horribly for, I think, it felt like 2 hours, maybe 2.5, you can check that out. It's the 45th anniversary, I guess.
That trailer was psychedelic, though, bro.
The artwork's beautiful. It's tough subject matter to get through.
Right.
And that's what's going on around town.
Awesome.
So why don't we have me stop talking and have you talk about the news?
It's real news.
Lots of stuff happening in the news. We had 2 people die on us, or actually 3 die on us since the last episode. First up, Arlie Ermy died, literally an hour after we stopped recording. But if you didn't know him, he played the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. He played Sheriff Hoyt in the remakes of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Beginning. And he also was Sarge in the Toy Story movies. So a long career, very long career. Harry Anderson died from Night Court, which I've never seen Night Court, but a lot of people.
It's fun. It's an 80s relic.
Yeah, but shout out to him, long life. And then the one that was the strangest and the one I was not expecting at all.
Long life. He was 46.
Yeah. Well, no, 49.
Still
49. But anyway, but the one that I did not expect was Vern Troyer passed away. Vern Troyer, if you didn't know, played Mini-Me in the Austin Powers films. Film I always remembered him for outside of Austin Powers was he was the Christopher Plummer's assistant in the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which I get it. Not everybody's a big fan of Terry Gilliam or Dr. Parnassus for that matter, but if you watch the film, among the strong performances in it, besides Heath Ledger or Christopher Plummer or even Tom Waits, Vern Troyer stands out in his own way. And it was one of those roles that I just thought was like perfect for him. And when you watch him in the final frame of the film, it's fantastic. So 49 will be missed.
Oh, no, I was talking about Harry Anderson earlier.
Harry Anderson died at 46?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's why I was like, not a long life. But yeah, for Vern Troyer.
Yeah, I thought you were referring to Vern Troyer. No.
Yeah,
Harry.
short people typically don't have long lifespans, but he made it to 49, which is great.
Right. And apparently it was from depression about anything else. And he was dealing with substance abuse at the time, too. So,
Okay.
But anyway, definitely an indelible part of pop culture. He has probably the only funny part of The Love Guru, which is an outtake at the very end of the movie. So sorry to anybody who likes The Love Guru. So anyway, in regular news though, James Cameron's shooting out his mouth, talking out his ass again. He says he's tired of Avengers movies and hopes that everybody else is getting tired of them. And he also says that the Avatar sequels are going to be compared to the Godfather series, which is just straight up a man with so much ego that he doesn't know how to juggle it.
Wow.
Yeah. That Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember the first Avatar being as powerful. Say, I know Ryan doesn't like The Godfather as much as other people do, but he can at least admit The Godfather is better than Avatar. So, what am I going to get The Godfather Part 2 with Avatar 2? I don't think so.
What world does James Cameron live in where he's hearing people talk about Avatar a ton?
I think it's
part of the pop culture zeitgeist anymore.
I think it's the same one that George Lucas lives in, where it's just one guy telling him that, no, you're still relevant, you're still popular. And that's why George Lucas said, yeah, that's cool. Jar Jar, let's throw him in there. That sounds like a fun idea. So, yeah, good luck, Cameron. I hope you figure out how you're going to tell those Blue Cat stories further, I guess. It, too, is getting a new cinematographer from the first one, so the look might change, or maybe they'll try to keep it consistent. I don't know. But on top of that, they're also trying to get Bill Hader and James McAvoy on the cast, which for one, I think James McAvoy for Bill, which would make a really good casting choice, in my opinion. If
Shouldn't Bill Hader be Bill?
No. No. And for all you XXX Return of Xander Cage fans out there, so just James, we're going to be getting another XXX movie that's going to start shooting in the winter. So you'll get the follow-up to that glorious Ice Cube cameo that we got at the end of the third one.
I'm sure Ryan can't wait.
Yeah, I'm sure he can't wait to ignore it. I guess the Deathstroke movie, whatever Joe Manganiello was putting into that role, is now going into a Deathstroke solo movie with Gareth Edwards and not going into the Batman. So I don't know what's going on at DC, but they're doing things. You know, they're trying to get the chip going. Netflix is considering buying some movie theaters, but they haven't said anything official. They've just said it's something we're putting on the table amongst other things we want to do. So it'd be nice. It'd be a cool middle finger to a governing board of Academy that doesn't know how to stay hip. So, I love the Academy, but let's face it, they're being snobs.
If anyone can afford it, they can.
Yeah, exactly. And then the final thing, which was the coolest thing of the week, was we got a little peek at the new Halloween movie, in the form of a poster and the look of the new mask, which
it looks the same to me.
No, it doesn't. Your eyes don't adjust well because you also hated the first one, so that's a reason that you don't see the difference.
Well, they're not going to win casual fans if I can't tell the difference.
You know what? They're not after you, jackass.
Their accountants beg to differ.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like, they've aged it without... You saw the Rob Zombie one.
Yeah.
So it's... They went with the same idea in terms of aging it as years go on, but they instead kind of put it into the deeper detail and less on aging the mask itself, but, like, trying to morph it into a new image, per se. I mean, honestly, if you look at it, it kind of just looks like elderly William Shatner, which is what the mask is anyways, just a William Shatner mask. So, but I think it looks cool. I think it looks solid, sinister. If the movie's just called Halloween, I think it'll be fine for a generation that's never seen the original, or people like Brad who just hate cool things. So, might get them enticed, might get them to go see this new one. Jamie Lee Curtis returning. And
they should subtitle it Halloween Retirement.
Retirement.
Zing.
I'm trying to think.
Laurie? What were you saying about Laurie?
What would the tag? Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, will be returning along with her daughter and her granddaughter. And it was confirmed this week also that John Carpenter, yes, is indeed doing the score to the film as well as his executive producer role. So, yeah, cool. We get some new John Carpenter music, which would be sweet. Because I don't think he's just going to do the theme and all the obvious cues. I think he's going to do something new and different. Because that's been his leitmotif lately when he goes out on the road and does music.
And then the fans will pick it apart.
Yeah. And then, like, side note on everything, Jamie Lee Curtis said she saw a rough cut trailer for it, and she said it's, as she says, full tilt boogeyman. So, let's hope it's not just hype. Let's hope it's, like, an actually scary movie, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Michael to scare the shit out of some millennials. And that is news.
Nothing scares millennials.
I know. Except if they look in a mirror and see themselves. Then they have to face themselves.
But they love selfies.
Face the reality of themselves. No, they can't filter it. Not in the mirror.
So that brings us to DVDs?
Yeah.
And Blu-rays.
DVD releases and Blu-rays.
This week, Hostels, which we reviewed on the show a couple weeks ago. That is out on Blu-ray and 4K.
Batman on a horse.
And The Maze Runner Death Cure.
Wait a minute. I really wish it had been called Batman on a Horse.
I mean, I think he's on a horse in Gotham by Gaslight.
We've got to go save this Indian tribe.
Native American? God, it's so racist.
Native American, sorry.
Batman does better. Yeah, the Maze Runner Death Cure, the end of that series, is on 4K.
And if you're a Best Buy
DVD,
and if you're a Best Buy guy, you apparently can get all of them in cool new steelbooks.
That's right. A Few Good Men and Grease also get 4K releases. Grease has a collection, which I guess there's 3 movies in a steelbook. And then there's
3 Grease movies? No, there's 2. And then there's the live sing-along, or the live one that they did.
Maybe they're packaging the live one in there because there's 3 like little stickers of, the different characters from each movie. So
okay, right on.
And then there's like a yearbook version of that same thing. I'm guessing it's like leather bound, so probably the Target edition.
That'd be sweet.
Some Dumb Bear movie sequel. Sorry, Henry.
Boom.
Paddington 2 is coming out, but it's just a regular Blu-ray, DVD, digital release. Like, there's no, cool leather-bound Grease edition of it or steelbook. It's just
Paddington 2, the leather-bound Grease edition.
he's just eating a marmalade sandwich shaped as a 2, and
Can I do a
looking
quick-
wistfully into the corner.
I'll do a quick imitation of Henry. But that's all you need.
That's exactly.
It's simplistic, Brad.
Criterion's got the Virgin Suicides and Dead Man from Jim Jarmusch.
I do
the
like
Virgin
Dead
Suicide
Man.
is not from Jim Jarmusch. That's Sofia Coppola. Den of Thieves comes out. The Maze Runner gets a trilogy, but nothing fancy other than a dude running across 3 backdrops on it. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I'm guessing that's from
Arrow.
That's Arrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Supposedly Cyborg, finally from Shout Factory, but I'm not sure.
Did you pre-order it?
I did not. I thought Ryan said it was going to be June, so that might be an error. Mermaids.
Oh, the one you saw?
No, it's Cher.
Oh.
The Cher one and with Bob Hoskins. Yeah, Bob Hoskins.
Oh, okay.
Winona Ryder.
Never mind.
Deadpool's getting a 2-year anniversary edition. And Best Buy has a new steelbook for that too, but it's not 4K, so which is weird because over the Christmas they covertly released a 4K edition, which I failed to pick up. So, but the sequel's coming out, and I'm sure when that DVD comes out, they'll have a 4K 2-pack.
They'll have a twofer, if you will.
Dr. Detroit with Dan Aykroyd from Shout Factory is coming out.
Okay.
Scream Factory has a Troll 1 and 2 double feature.
That's the only difference between that and the one they had before is that the documentary Best Worst Feature is no longer a part of the set. So it's a reissue without that featurette.
Puppet Master has some kind of special set. Looks like there's like a little Blade action figure and maybe a book with the DVD. Can't tell.
I hope it's
only one
I
image.
hope it's a knife. You open the box. Ow!
Murder your friends.
Fucking
with
Charlie
this
Band.
knife. That should be. There's a lot of like little things out, but that's the big stuff for this week.
And if you're at Best Buy to celebrate your Avengers fandom, you can get new steelbooks of Civil War, Avengers, and Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yep. Not 4K editions, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I might still go ahead and do it for one of them. Maybe Civil War.
Yeah, I need a first Avengers steelbook, but I'm not gonna. The art style's so distinct on those releases that it would be weird not to have the other two. So
yeah.
Matt Ferguson, I think, is the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you anything though when Infinity War comes out on Blu-ray, they're gonna do something special-ish. I don't know.
Hopefully. They'll probably do another like Phase 2 collection thing.
That's irrelevant when I can't get Phase 1 anymore.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll do 1 and 2 superset, and
maybe they'll do a big holy $1,000 one that includes an oak bookshelf.
Actually, I'm gonna say there's one more thing because it just looks like crazy. There's something called the Boneyard, and there's like a poodle with a zombie face. So
let me see that for a second.
Dare to enter, try to leave the Boneyard.
Oh shit! Oh, someone was talking about this on Shockwaves. They say it's insane. I might pick that up and watch it.
All right,
but it's some kind of weird like rock and roll zombie serial killer movie. It's like all over the place.
Okay.
So
and actually, if James was here, he would have mentioned 7 Guardians of the Tomb, which has Lee Bing Bing. I can't read it; it's too small.
You're
Kelsey
so
Grammer and
racist.
Kellen Lutz. I'm
just kidding.
But it looks like one of those. What is it? The people that make the knockoffs of like other movies.
Oh yeah, like an adventure film, like in the vein of Indiana Jones and whatnot.
But the company, they have like a name.
Oh, Asylum.
Asylum.
Yeah,
it looks like an Asylum movie.
Yeah.
So James would probably have better commentary on that.
But it's got Kelsey Grammer in it, man.
Yeah, Kelsey Grammer's like front center on that.
He's just like,
but Bill third.
Oh, Nigel, we've got to go in this tomb.
And that's Blu-rays and DVDs for this week.
Sweetness.
Which brings us to what we've been watching.
So, yeah, this is the stuff we've been watching.
Zach, what did you watch this week?
Not a whole lot. I went to the film club for the first time and saw Borg versus McEnroe. Sorry, didn't say it right.
So
Borg,
did McEnroe get assimilated?
No, he wins at the end because it's history. So I'm not going to avoid spoiling history for you guys. You should read books, damn it. So if you don't know, it's a story about Bjorn Borg fighting McEnroe, the American tennis player, in the Wimbledon Championship. And it's interesting because Battle of the Sexes came out last year, and immediately after it was over, Steve and I were talking about how it compared to Battle of the Sexes in terms of tennis films that came out that year. And Borg versus McEnroe is definitely like the superior one in terms of just style and technique and the way it's executed, the acting that's going on. It's a very it's a lot more of a challenging film than I thought it would be. The guy who plays Bjorn Borg is really good. The key thing everyone will probably want to know is Shia LaBeouf. He's fantastic in that. This is a role he was born to play, as Steve said, and I agree with that. It's just straight up a man who cannot contain his anger on the court in tennis. And they showed footage prior of McEnroe, of the actual McEnroe, and him flipping out on tennis officials and stuff like that. And it's just like, wow, this is perfect for him. I cannot believe he didn't do something of this nature earlier for his acting career. It's very well shot. I mean, and it's a co-production. It's a Swedish American language film, but it's made primarily for a Swedish company. So it's not technically an American release. So I don't know if it qualifies for anything cool and whatnot, I guess, in those regards. But I liked it. I thought it was really good. Might even be one of my favorite films of the year thus far, since it technically was released this year in the U.S. So yeah, I would definitely go ahead and check that out. I watched the Andre the Giant documentary on HBO. It's about an hour and 27 minutes. It does a pretty good job of staying on track, but in the middle of the film, they have to do this big exposition dump to explain how wrestling went from how it was when Andre the Giant got started to how it evolves into WWE. And there's a big chunk of time of 15 to 20 minutes or more like 15, where Andre the Giant isn't talked about. It's there's a lot of talk with Hollywood Hogan and Vince McMahon discussing how the sport came about from the earlier beginnings of his father. So, but the story they tell about Andre is amazing, and how it ties to Hollywood Hogan is pretty fucking incredible, and I knew nothing about it. Fans of WWE probably know all about this, and they already expect to cry, but I didn't expect to cry in the wrestling documentary that I saw this week. So it's pretty good. It's on HBO, so if you have that, you can watch it on Go, and it's a pretty quick watch. I didn't realize he was a father. So, yeah, there you go. Stuff like that. Rewatched Primal Fear, the Richard Gere, Ed Norton movie. Which I forgot the twist in that movie. So when Ed Norton flips out midway, I was a little taken aback. I was just
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Oh God, there's a flip that he does, and I won't tell you what the flip is,
Good.
but it's when you see it, it's you won't see it coming. But it's pretty fucking fantastic. But it's at the same time, outside of Norton's performance and Gere's performance to an extent, it's a pretty typical 90s legal drama. There's nothing to distinguish it outside of those two performances. Notable in the regard that it gave us Ed Norton the same year that he also did People vs. Larry Flint and stuff like that. So I guess go ahead and give him props for that. And then, I think that's pretty much it. I also saw with you the Maltese Falcon at the Esquire Midnight, which I guess we can segue into both. I nodded off at points, but I'd seen this movie so many times, but to watch it on a big screen was actually pretty fun. I just wish that they had done it as an earlier screening and not a midnight, because I think it's kind of hard to... I think it's very hard to watch a film of that caliber at midnight.
Yeah, I'd never seen it before, and nothing that I saw compelled me to engage with the movie. Mm-hmm. So, and I did nod off a couple places myself. So, I'll watch it again eventually.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think obviously other people were there and they were able to watch it. So it being a midnight, I think if you've seen it before, it helps.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, I find it hard to get into it.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I would encourage you to watch it when you're not close to wanting to go to bed because it's a good film. Like it's not like, obviously it's not excitement with crash boom bang and whatnot, but
yeah.
You get some genuine solid performances out of it. Like, I mean, Bogart alone is worth the price of admission.
Yeah, like all the performances were convincing, and they're a style of that era between stage and film.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I actually, like, if I had to, not that I'm a director and know what I'm talking about, but I felt the direction was very like all over the place. It jumped around a lot, and I often wondered like, what is the point of what we're doing right now?
Right.
So, which isn't. So I guess the way that story is told, I guess, isn't my favorite.
Okay.
Part of it.
It is a first-time filmmaker doing it.
Oh, there you go.
Like he was a long-time screenwriter, but he hadn't directed a film before. So.
Yeah, and it could be the editing too. So
yeah, so he went on to do Treasure of Sierra Madre and other stuff. So his name's John Huston. I don't know. He's going places. So yeah, that's all I watched this week.
So I watched The Maltese Falcon, and then at Starfest I watched Star Trek 6 and 8 again, because those are my two favorites.
Which one is 8 again?
First Contact.
First Contact, that's right. Yeah.
And then I forgot to, when we were talking about what we were doing earlier, my goal was to see LeVar Burton, because he's the big get for this year
right.
at Starfest, and I totally forgot to talk about it earlier, but because the Marvel quiz ended basically right as he was taking the stage, we were racing back to drop you off and get to the thing on time, and I didn't make it. But I saw him like 3 times walking just through the halls of the hotel.
No shit.
And each time, I wanted to be like, "Hey, Mr. Burton, it's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for coming to Denver." And instead I was like, you can't hear it at home, but I'm just like nodding, like, "Hey, what's up?" Yeah. So the first time was in my Casey Jones outfit, so I was wearing the mask, so there was nothing for him to recognize there. But the second day, I was wearing the Starfleet uniform, and embarrassed myself again. So
you reminds me of Troy in Community when he's trying to meet LeVar Burton, and he finally meets him. He can't get the words out, and LeVar Burton leaves him alone, and then you cut to Troy huddled up in a ball going, "Take a look, it's in a book, eating rainbow."
Then I also saw Mary Chieffo. She's from Star Trek Discovery. She plays L'Rell, the Klingon. She had some interesting things to say about the future of that show. I mean, it's going, but like she's involved, so her character is not going to disappear for season 2.
Oh, nice.
And she talked about like a lot of the difficult, like having to do the sex scene in the show. And learning Klingon. To learn her Klingon role, she watched all the Klingon episodes of all the other series, and now through Deep Space Nine is her favorite, and Dax is actually her favorite character so far from all those series, and so she's going to go back and watch non-Klingon episodes of all the shows from Star Trek. So
nice.
But she's more of a theater actress and classically trained, and less about getting into the role. And then also Roger Cross was there. He is from shows like Dark Matter and something else, I think some Stargate. He's got an extensive resume, but I know him mostly from 24. He played Curtis, one of Jack's CTU reliable guys, except for season 6 when he flips out and tries to kill the guy they're trying to protect, and Jack shoots him in the neck and kills him. Not sure Jack had to kill him to defuse that situation, which would have been a great question to ask him, but I didn't do that. Instead, I asked him if there were any fun stories from his time on 24, and he talked about this time they got the director, John Cassar, like, fake arrested. So, fun hijinks like that on 24.
Nice.
And then Malcolm Barrett, I'm not familiar with his work, but he was there, and each time I walked around as Casey Jones, I saw him twice, and he was like, "Casey Jones!" and we fist bumped. So I need to look into his work. But apparently he's a big Casey Jones fan.
I love that people fanned out for you. Like, not you, but like a character that you cosplayed.
I know.
You know?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I was the only Ninja Turtles cosplayer at Starfest.
Yeah.
Which isn't like, it probably sounds like, hey, Star Trek convention, and Brad is being a rebel and not doing anything Star Trek, but Starfest has evolved from Star Trek to be more like a Doctor Who anime. What else is popular right now?
Everything but Star Trek.
Even Star Wars. Like there was just not as much Star Wars, and considering like Star Wars is actually getting movies made right now.
But the internet hates them, don't you know? I don't know. Oh yeah, wait. Finish yours. Sorry.
So anyway, enough about Starfest. The other things I watched were I rewatched Double Dragon, which is a movie actually co-written by Paul Dini.
Oh, nice.
And there's a what's her name? Alyssa Milano's police officer dad in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He is the old man screaming in A Quiet Place.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was an interesting connection. And then Robert Patrick is the villain, Kogashuko.
Right.
And he has two henchmen. And I don't know why I didn't notice this before, but because I had the subtitles on, I was able to read it. So I must have been like tuning out what he was saying like every time I ever watched it. But those two characters as henchmen are called Huey and Lewis. So, and he asked them when they show up at his stronghold, like, "What's the news?" So, as a Huey Lewis fan, I was like, "Man, I can't believe I didn't catch that before." I also rewatched Suburban Commando with Hulk Hogan.
Oh, really? Speaking of the Hulkster,
yeah, and that's a fun dumb movie.
Uh-huh.
I rewatched it to wonder because I always thought it would be a good "How did this get made?" film, and I think they did No Holds Barred and Mr. Nanny. I think that's the only Hulk movie left, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I think there might be one more, but so I was rewatching to see like what is it as silly and enough to be a movie for that show, and actually watching it, it's like almost too competent. Like it's dumb and silly, but it's like I didn't find a lot of stuff like, oh, that's there's inconsistencies in like the shots.
That's like out there and bizarre.
Or like the plot isn't. I mean, the plot's ridiculous, but it's not like so. Like that doesn't make sense. Like everything seems like it explains itself pretty well.
It's there, is what you're telling me.
It's just there. Christopher Lloyd's in it. He's like it's fun, and it's all about the Hulk is Shep Ramsey. He is an intergalactic like hero, but after he kind of bungles a mission. His boss says like, hey, you need to take a break. You're stressed out. The Hulk is like, or Shep Ramsey's like, I don't want to take a break. I'm fine. And then he smashes his console and his ship has to detour to Earth and he has to wait for 6 weeks for the batteries to recharge or whatever. And so while he's stuck, he hates Earthlings. He's stuck in California. He finds an apartment for rent with what money he expects to pay. I don't know. I guess he must have like a cachet of.
So you say this isn't weird?
Earth money, huh?
You say this isn't weird?
No, it's silly and ridiculous, but it's like it's not so ridiculous that.
Okay.
Like there's easy jokes, to make of it.
I think the first.
Maybe there are, and I'm just not creative.
Maybe you just told me Jason Mantzoukas' entire plan for the show is to point out that aliens should find out a form of commerce at some point.
Yeah.
But no, I get you. No, I mean.
So yeah, the apartment is with Christopher Lloyd and his family, and Christopher Lloyd is an architect who doesn't have a lot of guts, so he's constantly being talked down to by his boss, who's Larry Miller. So he's a fast talking. He's trying to impress clients, and he's constantly taking advantage of Christopher Lloyd, and his wife is like, you got to ask for a raise. We need money.
I love
Larry
If you don't,
Miller. I'm going to rent this your storage shed out.
Right.
In his storage shed, he builds things and unwinds. And so so apartment for rent. Shep Ramsey takes the newly renovated shed and attracts bounty hunters to the family, which sets up a lot of conflict. And
Nice.
So I think it's fun, and the one like little trivia bit is occasionally while Shep Ramsey's waiting for he's inserting himself into Earth culture for the time being, he runs into a mime several times and doesn't understand miming, so he always thinks the guy's in trouble. So if he's pulling a rope, he tries to help him pull the rope. If he's trying to like climb a ladder, he thinks the guy wants to get up to the second floor, so he throws the guy up to the second floor. At one point, he's trapped in a box. So Shep Ramsey thinks it's a force field and punches through the force field and into the guy's face. Little scenarios like that. But the trivia tidbit is there's one gag where it happens twice. There's this little girl crying about her cat being stuck in a tree. And Shep Ramsey pulls the limb down with the cat on it because he's so strong. He's got superhuman strength. And it's not actually her cat. So she's like, ugh, that's not my cat, and walks away. And then he releases it, and the cat flings through the air. And then later on, she does it again. It's like, oh, my cat's in a tree. And he pulls it down, and she's like, no, that's not my cat either. And then she grabs onto the limb, and he lets it go, and she flies away. And the cat jumps off. And that little girl is Elizabeth Moss.
Really?
From Mad Men. And she's like 5. So it's like,
that's insane.
I think this movie is like 91. So
that's insane.
No, we're the same age. So she must have been like 9 or 10.
Yeah. I was born in 91. So.
And that's all I've been watching this week.
Cool. I had 2 more things real quick. Real quick. So I picked up Space Coast Coast to Coast Volume 1 on DVD at work because it was just there. I hadn't seen this fucking show in 15, 16 years. And it's way weirder than I remembered it, man. Like, it's so strange. And further proof that Jack Benny is a part of the pop culture zeitgeist, guys. There's a scene where Zorak and Moltar get into an elevator with Jack Benny. So, and I will screenshot it for everyone. So, if y'all think I'm crazy about this dead comedian, there's proof that he was very big and very popular even after his death. So yeah, it was just interesting. And then there's an episode where they're talking with 3 different cast members of Gilligan's Island, and the whole premise is that Zorak was a cameo actor on the Hamlet episode of Gilligan's Island. So it was just bizarre. I couldn't believe that that was a thing. But anyway.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes. So.
Yeah, that's all it. So anyway.
Okay, cool. So that brings us to the movie of the week, which is Isle of Dogs. Zach, should people see Isle of Dogs?
Yeah, I think this is definitely another Wes Anderson home run. I think in many ways I like it more than his previous animated outing, Fantastic Mr. Fox. There's a lot going on in this film, and probably too much going on for the short review we're going to give it. But yeah, go check it out. It's playing everywhere. It's been playing for a couple weeks, so.
I agree. It's a lot of fun. It has layers about marginalizing people in society and alienation, and the animation's fantastic. It's he's a bit hamstrung with Fantastic Mr. Fox in that he has to adhere to previous source material, but he did a great job in that anyway. This time he has full reign to do everything he wants. It's an original for him. A lot of people complain that this could have been a story set in Cleveland or something. It didn't have to be Japan, so there's this issue of cultural appropriation going on, but I'd argue that he does a lot of things in the movie to diffuse that. It's set in the future. It's not actually Japan. It's Megasaki. There's cultural elements borrowed, but I think if it was set in some American city, it would be visually less interesting. So I think that while it might not be, honest and factual about Japanese culture, I think that the fact that it shines a spotlight on the beautiful elements of that culture is something to enjoy.
And not just culture, but cinema, Japanese cinema.
Yeah.
In general. And we'll talk about it after the break.
Yeah, so here's the trailer.
The Japanese archipelago, 20 years in the future. Canine saturation has reached epidemic proportions. An outbreak of dog flu rips through the city of Megasaki. Mayor Kobayashi issues emergency orders, calling for a hasty quarantine. Trash Island becomes an exile colony. The Isle of Dogs.
I don't think I can stomach any more of this garbage.
Exactly. Same here. Words out of my mouth.
Nobody's giving up around here, and don't you forget it, ever. You're Rex. You're King. You're Duke. You're Boss. I'm Chief. We're a pack of scary, indestructible alpha dogs.
Atari Kobayashi, you heroically hijacked a Junior Turboprop XJ750 and flew it to the island because of your dog. Darn it. I've got a crush on you.
We get the idea. You're looking for your lost dog Spots. Does anybody know him?
No.
I've lost all of my pride.
Spots, if he's alive, may very well be living, even at this moment, as a captive prisoner.
Somebody is up to something. Will you help him? The little pilot.
Why should I?
Because he's a 12-year-old boy. Dogs love those.
We'll find him. Wherever he is, if he's alive, we'll find your dog.
It's gonna be a fight!
I wish somebody spoke his language.
Wow.
To the north, a long rickety causeway over a noxious sludge marsh leading to a radioactive landfill polluted by toxic chemical garbage. That's our destination.
Great. Got it.
Get ready to jump.
One of the things that really kind of blew me away in the film, because he had talked about this in an interview about like really approaching, like, you'd think with animation and Japanese culture you'd want to try to go toward Miyazaki or something like that, and he said that the emotional tone was something they try to take from Miyazaki, but the visual aesthetic, it's a fucking Kurosawa movie in so many ways. Like, and not just Kurosawa, but there are a lot of elements. Like the way they build up an element with within the beginning of the film is that the dogs are all on Trash Island. Because they have dog flu, a couple other diseases and whatnot, and so they're isolated on this snout fever
Yeah.
and like tons of
Overbreeding.
Overbreeding, yeah. So they're all put on Trash Island and they're fighting for scraps. And there's this great moment at the beginning where it's like a group of dogs that look similar going toward a pile of trash that just came off the Nagasaki Island, and then they're interrupted by our main group, which is Duke, Chief, Boss, Rex, and King, and they're going. The way they're approaching each other step by step within the animation is very similar to the way Kurosawa would frame certain shots, and just kind of the timing of it. And obviously, that timing could be compared to anything Wes Anderson's done, but just the way it's handled, it's able to evoke both settings. And that's what I really appreciate about it. That combined with Alexandre Desplat's music in this film, like this might be my favorite soundtrack of the year thus far. Like it is, I fucking love the music in this movie. Like
Yeah,
I absolutely, like more so than I've liked in any other Wes Anderson movie. Just because it's got a real vibrant energy to it that I totally dig. But yeah, and then just the art direction for this film is incredible. Let's forgo just the puppeteering and the animation and whatnot. Just the way that they get the city to work. The way they do fights, which is very similar to the way they did in Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is we can't show you every single thing they're doing, so we're just going to do it in a cloud of
very cartoon-like.
Yeah,
cloud of smoke. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and the way they kind of handled like any time that they like there's a television screen that's on and whatnot, it's done in traditional two-dimensional animation. So it never has to be more technically advanced than it has to be. Like it knows how to cut a corner very cleverly so that you can get stuff done, because it's one frame at a time, guys, and it's brilliant. And the voice acting in this film is great.
Yeah, a lot of fun, dry humor.
Yeah, I loved Norton in the film. Like I think that I like that he's working with Wes Anderson, because like I get to see a part of Norton that I wasn't getting prior to Moonrise Kingdom. Or you could argue Birdman too, but I think he knows how to get the funny side of Norton out there in a way that only Danny DeVito could 12 years prior. So, but yeah, and then the the whole idea of cultural appropriation, like again, like as you said, like I think it's hard to make that argument when at the end of the day, like they're not saying anything disparaging about the culture directly at all.
Yeah, I mean, some people are taking it as like, oh, they reduced it down to like sumo wrestlers and sushi and like.
No, those are just interstitials. That's literally just interstitials to pad out the areas. Like they're transitional.
Yeah,
they have nothing to do with the main plot.
But also, was this a problem when he did Darjeeling Limited? Like it's a tourism ad for India.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also a tribute to Indian cinema, the Apu trilogy, like anything within that nature, you know.
Yeah.
I don't see that argument. Like I understand why you want to make it. I just don't understand why you want to follow through with it.
Yeah, I think like you're making a work of fiction and you pick a setting and he chose one that he felt was like visually interesting and he worked.
It's ultimately a satire on its own merit on environment on like the way we handle the environment, the way people are marginalized in society. I mean, honestly, like you can take this as far back as 1942 when Ernst Lubitsch was making films about the Nazis invading Poland and whatnot. Like, did the Polish characters speak Polish? No, they spoke English because this film was made in America. Like, and thank God Wes Anderson goes a step above by hiring Japanese actors to play the Japanese characters. It could have been a lot easier to not do that and do some kind of insulting voice.
Yeah, they're not even like. There's like a disclaimer at the beginning that says all the dogs are dog barks that have been translated into English,
which I love.
But yeah, all the actual human Japanese characters
speak Japanese,
speak actual Japanese, and it's subtitled.
It's subtitled where appropriate, and then anything else is done through the translator character, which is Frances McDormand.
Yeah. So yeah, there's English characters that translate some things, but
but yeah, it's solid, and like, I mean, frankly, like. I don't know what's coming out this year from like Pixar or anything like that, but
Incredibles 2.
Okay, I think Isle of Dogs could finally get Wes Anderson his Oscar if the cards are right.
Yeah,
just throwing it out there. You've already snubbed him so many fucking times. He should have gotten it for Grand Budapest in the screenplay alone, because I love Grand Budapest.
He's young. He's got a lot of movies left in him.
Is he, Brad? Is he?
It's about like 10 years older than us.
But yeah, no, I mean it moves by in a breeze. It's a pretty quick film.
Oh yeah, we've seen it. I've seen it 4 times now,
and I've seen it twice. Even though Saturday I fell asleep halfway through because I was tired, but I knew everything that was going on from the first screening. But yeah, and then if you want more Jeff Goldblum again, like playing a character that's just indelibly hilarious, like. I think it's just fun to watch him do anything or hear him do anything for that matter in this film. And also like there's some great song selection in here outside of Desplat's score and whatnot, like some really interesting choices that he makes throughout the film that I thought was pretty interesting. And like anything else, like you know, this is something I wasn't expecting from him, which is ultimately like the biggest get of all. Is that like he could have done anything else. Like he could have done that. He could have done that horror movie he was talking about, like as far back as Grand Budapest Press. But he does this really charming.
He might be working on it
animated film. I hope he is. Yeah. I really want a Wes Anderson movie to be Jason Schwartzman in sheets going, "Boo, I scared you. This is how I scare people." So anyway, yeah, great film.
So next week we'll be seeing Avengers: Infinity War.
But the team's so broken up, Brad. How are we going to get them together?
It's almost like a difficult situation will bring them back together.
I know.
And they can set aside their differences.
I mean,
form an alliance.
Do you think Captain America and Iron Man will chop wood and have a dialogue about ideological differences?
Nope, because they already did it.
Okay. I wanted to see it again, though. Civil War 2?
Put the DVD in your DVD player.
Tony Stark somehow conveniently forgets that his mom was killed, and then he has to discover it all over again at the very end of Civil War 2.
So until next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Real Nerds Podcast. Real Nerds Podcast is a production of Nebulous Visions Multimedia. Thank you to Sparks Mandrill and Plan 9 Studios for our kick-ass theme song. Also, if you're in the Denver area and you're looking for a cool place to see movies, we see them at the Alamo Draft House in Littleton and now also in Sloan's Lake. Thank you to Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics for supplying us with all our comic needs, especially you, Andrew. You know who you are. And a big shout out to James's mom. I'm giving you an electronic hug that you can feel through the airwaves. Thanks for listening, and have a nice day.